just like graphing the function, when you're writing the function, you're going to do, the first thing you're going to do is to indicate your midline. Okay, and it looks like my midline is right here, which is at 1. Positive 1. So I'm going to put positive 1 on both of these. The second thing that we're going to look at is what is our amplitude. It looks like I'm going up 0.5, so my amplitude for both of these is 0.5 and 0.5. Good. Remember, your midline goes at the very end of the functions, and your amplitude goes in the very front of the function. Okay. The top one is a sine function, so I'm going to write down sine. We know that because it tells us. The bottom one is cosine function. Once again, we know that because it tells us that it's going through a cosine function. Okay. The third thing that we do, just like graphing, is that we're going to have to use our period formula, which is 2 pi over b. Now remember, in this case, we're actually looking for b because that's our a. Our b goes in here. That's b is what we're looking for, which means they've given us a period. And remember that the way we tell about the period is that we count up the humps. So here's my hump. You see, starting at 0 right here on your y-axis, that's half the hump. And it's a full hump. So far I have 1.5 hump. And it needs 2 full humps to become a period. So I need another half of the hump. So my period ends right here, which is at 2. So that's my period. So I know that. So I'm going to substitute p with 2. So 2 equals 2 pi over b. Okay, we're going to put 1 under it and cross multiply. So 1 times 2 pi is 2 pi. Equals 2 times b is 2b. Now we're trying to get b by itself, so divide both sides by 2. So pi equal b. If you need to rewind and watch it again, go for it. So your b is pi for both of them. So now we're basically done. We actually have to write the function. So here's what you really do. Once we get number 1, 2, and 3, so if you find your midline, amplitude, and your b, you're just looking at this function. So when you just take a look at this function, do you see how on my y-axis I'm starting at the highest point? Remember, the cosine function starts on the highest point or the lowest point. And sine function starts on my midline. So since it does not start on my midline, I know it's going to be a cosine function, so I'm going to write cosine function first. It's a cosine function, so I'm not going to translate it, which means I don't have to put anything within the x. I just got to put x inside the cosine and close it. I'm going to check one more thing. Since it starts on the top, it's a positive cosine, so this one checks out. So we're done with part B. Now I'm going to reiterate myself. So sine function starts on my midline, so it should start right here on my midline on my y-axis. However, it looks like it doesn't start there. We moved the next closest one that we see is right here, which we moved it to the right. How much? 0.5. So we moved it to right 0.5. It should have started here. However, we need to move it to the right 0.5. So we're going to say, all right, x minus 0.5, because remember that's how we say right. Right is minus because it's opposite of what you would think. Now, after you moved it, let's think about it. We start here and then we're moving it by going down. So my amplitude needs to be negative.